Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be taking you through the 5 core fundamental areas that make up the philosophy behind the way that we market in the Strong Collective, and also what we do with coaches who come and work to us. So once we get into these 5 core areas, you'll see that it supports the business from not only what that coach wants in terms of their own enjoyment from the business, the way they want it to look, the way they want it to run. It also feels good. It feels good to market. It feels good to be a part of. They want to be involved in it. And ultimately, it's going against a lot of the stuff that is out there in terms of high pressure, high push, sleazy sales, that kind of stuff, and actually building something that, like I say, you're proud of being part of. And this makes overall the work that you do just feel much more in line with what it should do in terms of your values. So before we get into this, let me just bring up the document here. So hopefully you can see that on there on the screen. So we've got these 5 core areas, and they all revolve around this one in the middle. So your core values are the things that you have to stand by these, right? Your core values are things that are going to allow you to fall back on them if something's not going right, or if you feel like something's slightly off, right? Revert back to your core values, because they won't fault. And if you were to ask me, I don't know, 10 years ago, 5-10 years ago, why do I need to know that? What's important about that? But the more I've got into this, the more I understand that we align with other people through our core values and share the alignment of those beliefs and what we feel is important in ourselves and also in the world, in our own little bubble that we're in. And that's who we're going to attract, right? And we're going to push people away who aren't aligned with it. So that's the key here. That's why it's in the middle. The core values is the thing that you need to work out first. Now in this video, I'm just going to give you an overview of each one, and then I'll be doing separate videos that are going to go into more detail about each section and also how you can apply this yourself, right? So core values is, like I say, that number one part. Then your philosophy, right? So if we take this part here, your philosophy, right? This is, in essence, it's your point of view, right? So your point of view is going to be on a few different areas. Now, first and foremost, we're going to look at your point of view to be with the people you work with. So your audience, for example, your job is to take them from island A to island B. So the reason the way you do this is you have someone here who's feeling somewhat maybe unhappy, or they want to change something's not going right for them here. And your job, that's a cloud by the way, and it's raining on them. Your job is to be able to move them away from this place towards island B, which is ultimately where they are feeling like, they've got the outcome they want, or they're feeling happier. There's wherever it is, whether that's nutrition journey, weight loss journey, whether it's building more strength, whether it's becoming a better role model, whatever that is, your point of view is on that audience. So you have a point of view about why they're at a certain place they are, and also you have a point of view about why they want to get to island B as well. That's important. You also have a point of view on the world as it stands at the moment. You will have certain ways of thinking about the world and what's going on. You will have a different point of view to maybe me on certain things, right? But this comes into your philosophy, because if you don't share your thoughts on certain things going on in the world, then you're not going to be able to get across enough to someone to go, oh yeah, I actually think that you're the person I want to work with because I align with you and I think that we have the same shared values and beliefs on why I'm in the position I am, where I want to go to, and we align on the things that we think about in the world, right? So from my point of view, it would be making marketing feel good and having a more ethical approach to it. And if you're on board with that, you're probably going to get on with what we need, what we go through, right? Vice versa, you're probably not if it's something you're looking for that's different. You're also going to have a point of view on the industry that you are working in. So for example, you might be in the health and fitness space, working with people who want to improve their performance in sport. You're going to have an opinion on that. You're going to have a point of view. You might be in the diet culture space, where we know that there's a lot of that's the wrong color, but never mind. We know that there's a lot of thoughts around people in that basically taking advantage, right? So you have your own opinion on what you think of that industry. You need to be able to share it. You need to be able to stand up and become an advocate for that. That's what we do in this space. Okay, so that's also part of your sharing your philosophy. So being able to share it on the industry that you work in. Let me just write that up here so you've got it. Industry. Cool. So all of these things build out your point of view, and you need to be able to share them through the channels you operate in, social media, email, YouTube, podcasts, whatever it is, right? So that's point of view. Then if we go over to your target market over here, so we're in this top right section now. Now with the target market, it's almost like we're thinking about figuring out the bullseye as such. So if I go to here, let me draw this dartboard, which is kind of a dartboard. And then in the middle is the target. So this is where we're aiming for in terms of your target market, trying to pinpoint a certain audience, niche, whatever you call it. However, when we do this, you're not always bang on, right? At the start, especially at the start of your journey, you're going to be a little bit more maybe off the board completely over here. Then maybe you hit the board, maybe you're a bit closer. And each time is an opportunity to just improve what you do, get feedback, and actually get closer to working out your audience. However, when you think about your audience, there's a few different things that come into this, right? So we have some areas that we look at with it. So I like to think of these in 3 different circles, if that's going to do it. So we have our psychographics, which is this one. Graphics, can't spell. So that's there. And then we've got our demographics, which is over here. Graphics. And then we've got our behaviors as well. So the behaviors of our audience. Behaviors. Cool. Now, when we think about these, when we're going into what they mean, we have lots of different exercises. And like I say, I'm going to do a separate video on how you can get clear on target market. But ultimately, what we're looking for here is this sweet spot in the middle is when they all cross over, that is your ultimate target market, right? So that's what we're looking for. And we do that by figuring out the psychographics of your audience, getting into the behaviors, the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions. We also look at the demographics, which again is just like what you can see. Are they a man? Are they a woman? What kind of age are they? Where do they work? That kind of stuff, you know. It's important, but not as important as the psychographics. And then the behaviors as well we look at, because those behaviors, even though they form part of the psychographics, there's going to be certain behaviors that your audience do and have that you need to be aware of so you can talk about it within your marketing message. So once we can understand all those, we have a better idea of getting clearer on the target market. And some target markets, right, aren't going to support what you want to do because they have to be able to have certain things. They have to be able to pay you for a start, right? They have to be able to pay you. They have to be able to have access to certain materials as well to get started. Like, do they need to have access to a gym? Do they need to have access to stuff at home? Maybe, or maybe they don't. But like, they're going to need to have access to something. And also, you're going to have to want to work with them, because why would you want to work with an audience that, for example, you don't enjoy working with? And so you're not going to put as much into it as if you were working with an audience you really, really thought was exciting to work with, you enjoyed it, you're passionate about. So that comes into this as well. So that's something I'll go through in a separate target market video. Now, from here, if we go down to the operational roadmap, right? This is your blueprint as such. So from here, we're going to think about building out. Let me just draw a road. A very kind of windy, twisty road here. So your roadmap is really important, because once we get the roadmap set, there'll be certain markers throughout that roadmap. So there'll be certain things that you will position, certain points that you work on with your clients that you're gonna want to take them through. And if they've got a roadmap, it makes it really clear. This is a flag, by the way. It makes it really clear from the start, like the direction you're going in, the things you're going to work on. You can also break down your coaching program into different phases so that you can extend the longevity of a client working with you. Your lifetime value of that client would increase. They can future pace themselves, because when they start to see where they are here, if there's no roadmap and they're here waiting to get started, right? And there's no roadmap, they can't see it. And then so they just know that whatever they're doing is they're working with you, but they can't actually see what you're going to be leaning towards. That will then instantly, even if they start working with you, it's going to be harder for them to then see into the future to stay with you longer term, because they're just working then week to week to week. Whereas if you give them this position, they can actually then see, if I build out some binoculars here, give him some binoculars, he can now see from a vision point of view, he can see the whole process, the whole roadmap, right? And he's like, right, yeah, this is where I am now. These are the things I'm going to be working on. Next thing, I'm going to be building into this. This is what we're going to next. And your retention rates go up, right? So roadmaps are really important. Helps drive client buy-in at the start as well, because they can see everything. It's easier for you to actually get them into the program and see if they're a good fit at the start anyway, because they can see everything. And if it's not, then you ideally shouldn't be taking them into your program, right? All we're looking for here is the truth of, is it a good fit? And your roadmap is a really good way to explain that to someone. I've seen coaches put it up on calls. They've got documents they send to people with it in. All of this stuff goes towards making it easier for you to figure out, okay, is that person the right for my stuff, being in my world? And am I the right person to help them, vice versa? Because that's all we're looking for here. The truth of, is it a good fit? So, like I say, I'm going to go through a whole separate video on the operational roadmap and how you would create your own version, what things to consider when doing it, why you should do it in the first place, and why it's such a powerful tool. So the other part of this is the communities, when we move into the bottom right. So communities here, we like to think of them as your hubs. So I'm going to draw, why does it keep doing that? I'm going to draw a little bit of a tree here. And your hubs are basically the communities you want to get into. And hubs can be the thing that actually just makes your business, because we spend a lot of time using social media, and I'm not against it. I love social media. I think it's a great tool. It's really good. But ultimately, your hubs are the things that, if you can get into 2 or 3 core hubs, these are roots, by the way, you won't need to do much more in terms of, you won't need to worry so much. Like, social media is ever changing. There's always things going on, the algorithm, whatever it is, right? You're battling against stuff. Get into some hubs, communities that serve the similar people to you, or have something that is almost like a complement of what you do. So for example, the local businesses in your area, for example, are there people there that suit your business? If you're working with people who are high pressure, high stress, maybe there's some local businesses that you should get into to deliver some free advice, some talks. Maybe you just offer your services on hand. Maybe you start to get involved with some of the HR departments in certain businesses, right? And just be able to put yourself out there a little bit more. Because like I say, you need 2 or 3 of these to be able to then support what you do. Because the first person they're going to think about is, right, I'm going to go to so-and-so because I trust them. They've reached out to us. They do this stuff that supports our workforce. So hubs that way could be a really important part. Likewise, communities within your local area. So it doesn't have to be local businesses. It could be communities in the local space, going into local community groups and then actually just sharing what you do in there. Not in a spammy way, but just putting yourself out there. And if you find the right groups that then support you, then like I say, you don't need to really think about much else, because they're going to give you the people are going to be referred to you. So you need your hubs. There's got to be a core purpose, which is what we share here. It's just the trunk as such. So your hubs up here, core purpose of what they do, and it also needs to have shared values, which is why we start and finish in this point, because ultimately those shared values take us back to here. And if there aren't those shared values there, then none of this works. So for me, there's going to be a whole video on how to find your hubs and what to look for in them, how to then approach hubs, how to then support them ongoing. Because I know businesses out there who, once they get into the right hubs, then everything else falls into place, because there's no pressure on, I need to be in this channel here creating content all the time, and there's pressure about what I put out there. And you can just have more fun with creating your own stuff, because you're in these areas that are already have access to people who would benefit from your services. They do something that's slightly different, and you can then be the next person to be like, oh, this person needs this help. Cool, they're referring to you. So this, like I say, the 5 core fundamentals of why we build stuff the way we do within what we do in our business, and also the coaches we work with. And each of these, there is separate work to do, very much so, but they all really work together. So you'll see like everything has like synergy between it, in terms of this all rotates around from here to here. And it all rotates around, all around this, the core values in the middle. Very important. So I hope that has made sense. Any questions on it at all, please drop them in the comments section and I'll get back to them. And then look out for each of those videos coming on the separate sections, because like I say, in each of those sections I'll show you how to actually go about creating whatever it is in there, how to figure out what it is, how to get in contact with people if it's the hubs, for example. And once we've got those in place, you're in a really good position, like I say, to build this out for your own business and start putting these things in place. So if you have enjoyed this, please let me know. Please click the little thumbs up button. Don't forget to stick around here if you like this kind of stuff. If you're into marketing online for your coaching business, this is the stuff that I really enjoy. This is the stuff I'm passionate about. So if that is you, click subscribe and I will see you in the next one.